Welcome to KnowledgeNest. I'm your host. This is a place where wisdom takes flight. We all have that inner child within us who's curious about everything. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds fly? Why do we need to learn? Because learning is like a superpower that lets you explore the world around you and understand how things work. And when you understand things, you become wise. And wisdom is the superpower that all of us inner children are seeking. So sit back, open your mind, and get ready to learn. You can learn about anything and everything. Just ask your questions, and we'll find the answers together. This is an open book, a world of knowledge waiting for you to discover it. So spread your wings and fly high, little knowledge seeker, because here in KnowledgeNest we believe that everyone can be wise. Before you speak, ask yourself, will these words heal or will they harm? Our mind is like a computer. Whatever we feed our mind, it stores in our brain. If we feed it with toxicity, it will store that toxicity in our brain. But if we feed it with positivity, it will store that positivity in our brain. So whatever we say to others, it comes back to us. So be mindful of what you say to others. When someone speaks to you in a rude manner, don't take it to your heart. Don't let their words affect you. Just leave it. Don't give it any importance. Why? Because their words are like a boomerang. They will get back to them. Whatever we send out comes back to us. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually it will come back to us. So whenever you're about to speak, ask yourself this question. Will these words heal, or will they harm? If it's going to heal, then speak. But if it's going to harm, then don't speak. Keep quiet. Sometimes it's better to stay silent than to speak words that may hurt others. Be kind in your words. Don't use harsh words. Don't use abusive words. Don't use foul language. Use words that can heal, that can make others feel good. When you start speaking in a kind and soft manner, you will see that others will also start speaking to you in a kind and soft manner. When you speak rudely to someone, do you think they will take it nicely? No. Everyone likes to be spoken to in a kind and soft manner. So be kind in your words. Be soft in your words. Use words that can heal, because everyone is a child of God. Everyone is born with a divine spark within them. So treat everyone with kindness and love. When you start speaking in a kind and loving manner, you will see that your relationships will improve. Your family will be happy. Your friends will be happy. Everyone around you will be happy. You will create a positive atmosphere around you. And when there is positivity around you, it uplifts your mood. It makes you feel good. So practice this mantra in your daily life. Before you speak, ask yourself, will these words heal or will they harm? If it's going to heal, then speak. If it's going to harm, then keep quiet. Be silent. Be kind in your words. Use words that can heal. Have you ever thought about the impact of your words? Words can be compared to weapons. They can either build up or tear down. It's in your hands how you want to use them. You might have heard the quote, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me." Well, this is not true because words do have the power to hurt. Hurtful words may last a second on the tongue, but a lifetime in the heart. There are certain words that once said can never be taken back. We all have different personalities. Some people are extroverted and some are introverted. Some people are emotional and some are logical. Some people speak their mind because they don't think before speaking, while some people think 10 times before saying anything. There are also people who say sorry when they are not at fault just to avoid an argument. And there are people who never say sorry. There was a survey conducted where people were asked if they would rather have their intelligence insulted or their appearance insulted. A majority of people chose the former, saying that they would rather have their intelligence insulted because it would be a learning experience, whereas the latter would be hurtful. But that doesn't mean that we should start insulting people's intelligence. We should be careful of the words we use because we don't know how they will feel. Even if it is a joke, it may not land well with the other person. When someone says something hurtful, it is natural to feel anger and the urge to retaliate. But if you take some time before responding, you may realize that what they said is actually true. Sometimes we need to accept the truth, even if it is bitter. So next time you feel like saying something hurtful, ask yourself, will this be helpful? Will it solve the problem or make it worse? There is always a choice. You can either choose to speak kindly or remain silent. Remember, a kind word spoken is better than a song sung. When anger rises, silence is the shield that protects both you and others. Have you ever noticed that when you're really angry, it's hard to say anything? Your throat tightens up. You might even start to feel tears behind your eyes. When we're angry, there are a lot of emotions fighting for our attention, and anger can make us impulsive. It can make us say things we don't mean or lash out in ways that we later regret. So what do? Well, this is where the concept of protective silence comes into play. In the heat of the moment, when anger is at its peak, the best thing you can do is stay silent. Now, this doesn't mean you have to pretend to be happy or just ignore the situation. That's not helpful. Instead, it means taking a step back and consciously choosing not to engage while you're feeling overwhelmed. Think of it as a shield that safeguards both yourself and those around you from the harm that uncontrolled anger can cause. For example, let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. It's natural to feel a surge of anger. Your heart rate might go up, your hands might clench on the steering wheel. But what would happen if you honk your horn and yell at that person? Chances are it won't solve anything. They've already made their mistake and your anger isn't going to change that. In fact, it might escalate the situation. The other driver might get angry and you could end up in a shouting match or even a physical altercation. Now, is that productive? No. What if you take a deep breath, let it out slowly, and say nothing? You've just protected yourself from making things worse. You've also avoided potential danger, like, a road rage incident or getting out of your car and confronting someone who might be a threat to your physical safety. But why does this work? Well, anger thrives on expression. When we're angry, we want to let that anger out. We want to scream, to lash out, to make someone listen to our rage. But when we stay silent, we deny anger its outlet. And anger, like any strong emotion, needs an outlet to run its course. So if we don't give it one, it will eventually run out of steam and dissipate. Of course, this isn't always easy to do. Sometimes our anger can feel like it's consuming us, and it's hard to think clearly. But with practice, it gets easier. The more you can stay silent when you're angry, the more you'll be able to control your emotions and keep your relationships intact. Because remember, when anger rises, silence is the shield that protects both you and others. I want to share a quote with you that goes like this. Kindness in words costs nothing, but creates everything. Have you ever thought about this? That whatever we say, it doesn't cost us anything, right? But it can create so much in another person. We can create hope, joy, happiness, discouragement, sadness, despair. What we say can create a ripple effect that can change someone's life forever. Our words are powerful. They can either build up or tear down. So what do you think is more effective in changing someone's life? Building them up with kind words or tearing them down with harsh words? Obviously, building them up. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to forget the impact of our words. We might think that our words don't really matter, but the truth is, they do. The Bible says in Proverbs 18:21, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Think about that for a moment. Life and death are in the power of our words. As Christians, we need to be mindful of the words we speak because they can have a profound impact on those around us. We should strive to use our words to encourage, inspire, and uplift others, knowing that our words can be a source of strength and comfort in their lives. So let's take a moment to consider the power of our words and the impact they can have on the lives of others. Let's remember that kindness in words costs nothing, but it can create everything. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Can you share a time when someone's kind words had an impact on your life? Maybe there was a situation where someone's words of encouragement or kindness lifted you up when you were feeling down, or perhaps there was a moment when someone's harsh words hurt you deeply. I'm here to listen without judgment. You can share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this quote inspiring, I encourage you to share it with your friends and family. Let's spread some kindness and positivity in our words and create a ripple effect of encouragement and support for one another. Until then, may your words be filled with kindness, and may you never forget the incredible impact you can have on the lives of others. God bless you, and remember, kindness in words costs nothing, but but creates everything. I don't know who needs to hear this, but saying one kind word can have more power than 100 unkind words. There are two forces in this world, my friends, that cannot be overcome. One is the force of love, and the other is the force of hate. Now, which one do you think is stronger? If you said hate, then you are wrong. A single word of love is stronger than 100 words of hate. Think about it. When someone speaks kindly to you, when they speak to you with love, even if there were 100 haters out there that are saying terrible things about you, you will feel that one word of love more than you will feel those 100 words of hate. Why? Because deep down inside human beings, we all crave love. We all want to feel that connection. We all want to feel that acceptance, that belonging. And one word of love can make someone's day, make someone's week, make someone's month, make someone's year. It can turn someone's life around. On the other hand, words of hate, they don't have that kind of power. I mean, sure, they may feel good in the moment for the person who's saying them, but they don't have that kind of lasting impact. The reason why I say this is because I want you to be more mindful of your words. I want you to choose your words more carefully. I want you to think about the words that you speak into existence. When you speak, there's a certain energy behind your words. When someone speaks kindly to you, you can feel the energy. When someone speaks to you with love, you can feel the energy. But when someone speaks to you with hate, with anger, with bitterness, with resentment, with judgment, with condemnation, there's no energy behind those words because hate is an empty feeling. Hate is an empty word. There's no energy behind it because there's no life behind it. Life is sustained by love. It is sustained by kindness. It is sustained by compassion. It is sustained by empathy. It is sustained by connection. It is sustained by belonging. So remember, my friends, when you're out there in the world and you feel like speaking unkindly of someone, just stop for a second and think about what you're about to do. Think about the power of your words. Think about how those words will land, not just on the person you're speaking to, but also in your own life. Because when you speak with hate, you don't hurt the other person. You hurt yourself. You don't diminish them. You diminish yourself. Your words may come back to you in ways that you never imagined. So remember, my friends, a single word of love is stronger than 100 words of hate. Choose your words wisely. Choose your words carefully. Let your words be kind, for in doing so, you will be kind. And that, my friends, is a beautiful thing. This quote is so beautiful. It's by the Lebanese-American author Khalil Gibran. Your words echo beyond your ears. They become someone else's truth. Isn't that amazing? Words are powerful. Words can make or break a person. Words spoken in anger can wound a person so deeply that even if we apologize, the wound doesn't heal. The scar remains. Words spoken in love, however, can inspire, uplift, and heal. We've all heard the phrase, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me." Nonsense. Words do hurt. And the pain caused by words can be much deeper and longer lasting than any physical pain. When we were kids, we would fight with our siblings, our classmates, and sometimes our own parents. We would call each other names. We would say things that would hurt. And most of the time, we didn't even think about the consequences of our words. We just said things. But as we grew up, we should have learned that words can really hurt people. When someone speaks to us, what do? We listen. When someone says something to us, what do? We believe it because we trust the person. But what happens when someone tells us something that is not true? We end up believing a lie. And once we believe that lie, it becomes our truth. There was a time in my life when I allowed other people's words to dictate my self-worth. When people spoke badly about me, I believed them. I started to believe that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't beautiful enough, that I wasn't smart enough. Their words became my truth. But here's the thing. Words can't hurt you if you don't allow them to. You always have a choice. You can choose not to believe what people say about you. You can choose to believe in yourself, in your abilities, in your worth. So the next time someone tries to put you down with their words, remember that you have the power to choose how you feel about yourself. Don't let anyone's words define who you are. You are beautiful, you are strong, and you are enough just the way you are. From the 16th chapter of Proverbs, verses 27 to 33, and it reads, "Speak as if every word will be carved in stone, because in someone's memory it will be. Put your teaching in the hearts of the people. Speak the words of truth with me, and teach the wise." So how do we put this proverb into context? Well, we know that Proverbs was written by King Solomon, arguably the wisest man who ever lived, at least according to the Bible. The book of Proverbs was written for a few reasons. One of them was for the instruction of his son Rehoboam, so that he could pass on the wisdom that he had gained over his long life to his son, so that his son would be wise and make good decisions and not bad ones. But also, Proverbs were written so that everyone who read it could learn and benefit from the wisdom of King Solomon and other wise people before him. So these proverbs are little sayings or short little stories that teach us great lessons about life, about how to live, about how to treat others, about what's right and what's wrong, and hopefully we learn from them and apply them to our lives. So let's think about this proverb and what it means today. It says, "Speak as if every word will be carved in stone." That sounds dramatic. When we speak, we often don't think about what we're saying. We just kind of say things. But this proverb invites us to pause and think before we speak. It invites us to really consider what we're going to say, because the words we speak can have a lasting impact on others. Our words can encourage or discourage, enlighten or deceive, speak life or death. They can speak faith or doubt, hope or despair. What we say matters. So before we speak, let's think about how our words might affect others. Let's remember that our words, like stones, can be carved in memory. How do we want people to remember what we said? Do we want to be known for speaking words of faith and hope and encouragement? Or do we want to be known for speaking words of doubt and despair and discouragement? If we want to be known for speaking words of faith, hope, and encouragement, then we need to make sure that our words line up with those things. The second part of this proverb says, "Because in someone's memory it will be." Whose memory? Well, it could be the person we're speaking to, but it could also be our own memory. We want to remember the good things that we've done, the good things that we've said, and we want to forget the bad things that we've done or said. But God also says that He will remember our sins no more, that He casts them behind His back, as far as the east is from the west. He doesn't want us to remember the bad things that we've done. So let's strive to speak words that are encouraging, that are uplifting, that are hopeful words, that will be carved in stone words, that will be remembered not just for what they say, but for the impact that they have on others. My quote of the day is, "Words are seeds. Plant them wisely, and the world will bloom." We're very happy to have with us an esteemed guest, the author of many, many books, including one titled, "Words Can Change Your Life." You know, people say that, the written word or the spoken word, it's just words. It doesn't really have any power. What do you think? Well, I think people who think like that are very, very lucky if they've been able to avoid the power of words. I've seen in my lifetime how words can wound and how words can heal. And so I don't think it's merely words. I think, we have to be very, very careful about what we say. We have to be mindful. I think the Dhamma talks about being mindful of our speech. And I think that's very important, because we don't know, we may think we're just saying something in anger or out of frustration or whatever. But those words can come back to harm us. We may have said something in jest or as a joke, but it could boomerang and hit us. So I try to teach people to be very, very careful of what they say. And I think, when we start speaking kindly to people, we start seeing the change within ourselves and around ourselves. You talk about being mindful. Some people say that, we should just speak our truth. And there's this idea that, whatever you do, whatever you feel, you should just say it. Do you agree with that? No, I don't. I think that's very dangerous. I think there's such a thing as psychological violence. And I think, we should not be doing psychological violence to people. Just because we can say anything we want to say doesn't mean we should say it. And I always tell people that, when you speak kindly to people, it doesn't mean you're weak. You're not being a doormat. You're not being a coward. You're being wise. You're being intelligent. You're being compassionate. There's a strength in gentleness. And I think that's something that we need to learn. So it starts with the intention. If someone says something to you that's not very kind or that hurts your feelings, What would you do in that moment? I think the first thing is to not defend. Most of the times when people say things that are unkind, they're not even aware of it. And so if we can respond with a smile, then I think that disarms the situation. And then I think it's a good idea to maybe say something like, oh, well, let's look at it this way. I try to reframe things in a more positive way. And I think it's also important to realize that most people who say things are not doing it intentionally to hurt you. I think it's just the way they are. It's their conditioning. It's their habit. And I think we should respond with a little bit of understanding and compassion towards them. And I think that makes a big difference. We have to start somewhere. And I think the place to start is with our attitude and our mindset. And if we can do that, then I think the world will be a better place for all of us. Thanks for watching Knowledge Nest. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Stay connected for more life-changing lessons. See you in the next story.